something a little different. This will be my first video where I do a book unboxing. And said book I have right here. This is going to be a review of something I wanted for a very long time. I say review, but I mean, of course, unboxing. In here, we have, and you probably can't see this, the Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien. Specifically, I have right here the 2007 deluxe edition of the Silmarillion. I have been wanting to start myself a Tolkien collection of all the books that have been published from the Middle-earth franchise. Specifically, I have chosen for the 2007 slipcase deluxe editions of the books. I already have one, The Children of Hurin, and this will be my second one. I got this in the mail about 4 or 5 days ago, and I'm beyond excited to finally open this. The Silmarillion is a very, I know, I have searched on the internet that the Silmarillion is a very difficult book. Less easy to get into than the Lord of the Rings. But I've also read that it is probably one of the better works from J.R.R. Tolkien. Some say his best work after the Lord of the Rings. So I'm beyond excited to finally start with this book. Now, I won't be reading you any chapters here today. Maybe in the future, who knows? But for now, this is only gonna be an unboxing. Not a full review because I've not read it, obviously. But from what I can tell, I'll show you the book and I'll just read some parts of it, like what the chapters are, that kind of things. So without any further ado, let's get started. So, the book itself first comes in this cardboard cover, which I'm going to open real quick so we can get into the book itself. If this is really loud, the audio might just stop and continue when I have it open, or we're just gonna cut it out, or you'll just see me open it. Who knows? I'll leave that to the editor. Wink, wink. In case you couldn't hear that, it was really loud. My ears are bleeding. Okay. assume. And on this side, a letter of content, I believe. So I'm going to open the plastic and we're gonna take a look at this. I got my little pair of scissors right here. I'm trying to open this careful enough that I don't actually damage the slipcase itself, because I believe it is like some type of leather, or maybe fake leather, I don't actually know. There we have it. Okay, plastic is off. Before we start with the leather, let's take another look. It's really gorgeous. I love the slipcase editions. We have the symbol right here, the book right here. It's nice and encased in its slipcover. And this side is blank. Top side also blank. Bottom side blank. Back side blank. So I'm gonna put this right here for a second while I get to the letter. The Silmarillion 30th Anniversary Edition. This definitive edition of the text, fully reset and corrected with many special features. A 14-page letter written by J.R.R. Tolkien in 1951, containing his account of the mythology of Middle-earth. The map of Beleriand and the lands to the north appears as a fold-out map and is printed in red and black. For the first time, Tolkien's painting of the halls of Manwë, I'm gonna butcher this, Huitel, appears as a color frontispiece, excuse me. Also appearing for the first time, Tolkien's heraldic device for the Luthien Dinuvial. The map of the realms of the Noldor and Sindar appears in red and black. Quarter-bound in imperial blue, stamped in gold foil on grey boards with the heraldic device for Luthien Dinuvial. Housed in a matching custom-built slipcase and printed on heavyweight acid-free paper and including a ribbon marker. So that's everything that is included with this version of the Silmarillion. Now I am beyond excited, so let's just grab it and slide it out. I'm trying to be careful not to break it or damage it. It was a little tight in there. Okay, it says slipcase. It's out, and excuse me, here we have it. So the spine is this navy blue, dark blue color, which goes to about here, get some things wrong, but I hope in the future I get to learn about these things, which is the fun part. Back side of the book, we have of course J.R.R. Tolkien's logo, or his rune, or whatever you call it. And again, the title. So I'm just gonna quickly open this up. You can hear the spine crack. Okay, we are first greeted with this lovely picture, written by Tolkien, or drawn by Tolkien. And this is called the Halls of Manwë, which is, I believe, one of the gods of Middle Earth. Then we got the same symbol again, and the Silmarillion. And then J.R.R. Tolkien, Quenta Silmarillion, which translates to the history of the Silmarils, together with Ainula. Okay, I'm gonna butcher this. Ainulindale, the music of the Ainur, and Valaquenta, the account of the Valar, to which is appended Akalabeth, the downfall of Numenor and of the Rings of Power and the Third Age. And again, the Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien, edited by Christopher Tolkien. Then we have the foreword. This is the contents, which includes the foreword, the preface of the second edition, from a letter by J.R.R. Tolkien, and then the book starts. I'm just gonna quickly see how big the foreword is. It's not that big. I might read you the foreword real quick. But let's see. The Silmarillion, now published 4 years after the death of its author, is an account of the elder days, or the first age of the world. In the Lord of the Rings were now narrated the great events at the end of the Third Age, but the tales of the Silmarillion are legends deriving from a much deeper past, when Morgoth, the first Dark Lord, dwelled in Middle-earth, and the High Elves made war upon him for the recovery of the Silmarils. Not only, however, does the Silmarillion relate to the events of a far earlier time than those of the Lord of the Rings, it is also, in all the essentials of its conception, far the earlier work. Indeed, although it was not then called the Silmarillion, it was already in being half a century ago, and a battered notebook extending back to 1917 can still be read at the earliest versions, often hastily penciled, of the central stories of the mythology, but it was never published, though some indication of its content could be gleaned from the Lord of the Rings. And throughout my father's long life, he never abandoned it, nor ceased even in his last years to work on it. In all that time, the Silmarillion, considered simply as a large narrative construction, underwent relatively little radical changes. It became long ago a fixed tradition and background to later writings, but it was far indeed from being a fixed text, and did not remain unchanged even in certain fundamental ideas concerning the nature of the world it portrays. While the same legends came to be retold in longer and shorter forms and in different styles, as the years passed, the changes and variants both in detail and in larger perspectives became so complex, so pervasive, and so many layered, that a final and definitive version seemed unattainable. Moreover, the old legends, old now not only in their derivation from the remote First Age, but also in terms of father's life, became the vehicle and depository of his profoundest reflections. In his later writing, mythology and poetry sank down behind his theological and philosophical preoccupations. would in fact lead only to confusion and the submersion of what is essential. I set myself in therefore to work out a single text, selecting and arranging in such a way as seemed to me to produce the most coherent and internally self-consistent narrative. In his work, the concluding chapters from The Death of Turanbar introduced peculiar difficulties in that they had remained unchanged for many years and were in some respects in serious disharmony with the more developed conceptions in other parts of the book. A complete consistency, either within the compass of the Silmarillion itself or between the Silmarillion and other published writings of my fathers, is not to be looked for and could only be achieved, if at all, at heavy and needless cost. Moreover, my father came to conceive the Silmarillion as a compilation, a compendious narrative made long afterwards from sources of great diversity, poems and annals and oral tales that had survived in age-long tradition, and this conception has indeed its parallel in the actual history of the book, for a great deal of earlier prose and poetry does underlie it, and it is to some extent a compendium in fact and not only in theory. To this may be ascribed the varying speed of the narrative and fullness of detail in different parts, the contrast, for example, of the precise recollections of places and motives in the legend of Turanbar, besides the high and remote account of the end of the First Age, when Thangorodrim was broken and Morgoth overthrown, and also some differences of tone and portrayal, some obscurities, and here and there some lack of cohesion. In the case of the Veliquenta, for instance, we have to assume that while it contains much that must go back to the earliest days of the Eldor and Valinor, it was remodeled in later times, and thus explain its continual shifting of tense and viewpoint, so that the diving power seems now present and active in the world, now remote, a vanished order known only to memory. The book, though entitled, as it must be, The Silmarillion, contains not only the Quenta Silmarillion, or Silmarillion proper, but also 4 other short works, the Ainulidale, I'm sorry if I'm butchering that, and the Veliquenta, which are given at the beginning, are indeed closely associated with the Silmarillion, but the Akalabeth and Of the Rings of Power, which appear at the end, are, it must be emphasized, wholly separate and independent. They are included according to my father's explicit intention, and by their inclusion the entire history is set forth from the music of the Ainur, in which the world began the passing of the ring bearers from the havens of Midland at the end of the Third Age. The number of names that occur in the book is very large, and I have provided a full index, but the number of persons, elves and men, who play an important part in the narrative of the First Age is very much smaller, and all of these will be found in the genealogical tables. Excuse me if I'm butchering that. In addition, I have provided a table setting out the rather complex naming of the different elvish people, a note on the pronunciation of elvish names, and a list of some of the chief elements found in these names, and a map. It may be noted that the great mountain range in the east, Adat Luin and Adat Linden in the Blue Mountains, appears in the extreme west of the map of the Lord of the Rings. In the body of the book there is a smaller map. The intention of this is to make clear at a glance where lay the kingdom of the elves. After the return of the Noldor to Middle-earth, I have not burdened the book further with any sort of commentary or annotation. In the difficult and doubtful task of preparing the text of the book, I was very greatly assisted by Guy Kay, who worked with me in 1974 till 1975, written by Christopher Tolkien in 1977. So that's the foreword. And then you start with the preface to the second edition, and from a mountains to the right are actually the mountains to the far west of the Middle Earth map, which you can see on the map of Middle Earth. We all know, like, Beleriand was a really big, like, continent. Excuse me. And I really like the really big maps. The bigger the map, the better. Now, I don't think there are per se any drawings in this edition of the text. Oh, you get another little map here, it seems. With East Beleriand. There's a little tiny map right here. Another map. Looks great. And as far as I can see, I don't see any other drawings or anything like that. But let me put the bookmark back. You also get like a little bookmark. Yeah, the paper is really thick and will not like easily rip, which I like about these box editions. I like their deluxe editions, so you pay for something when you get these. So it is nice that they're not like really cheaply made. There a lot of effort has been put in these editions to make it like worth the money you're spending on it. And I just really like these 2007 editions of the books. They're so nice, they're so pretty. Okay, so sorry if this is a little bit of a messier video. This is my first time reviewing a book after all. But that will be it for today. Let me know what you think about the book and what you think about the Silmarillion itself. Do you have any tips for me reading it for the first time? Or would you like me to read it to you in another video? Let me know. But that's gonna be it for today. Consider buying the 2007 slipcase edition. It's really nice and you won't be disappointed with it. The build quality is really nice. And thank you for sitting with me here and listen to me talk about it. And I'll see you guys